There's a coffee in the world that people whisper about. It's shrouded in this aura of myth, extreme luxury, and a story so unique it comes with an almost unbelievable price tag. But behind that whole legend, there's a story that is way more complex and, frankly, pretty controversial. So let's peel back the layers on the world of Kopi Luwak. So, is this really it? The most exclusive coffee that money can buy? The one that seems to top every list of crazy, extravagant foods? Well, that reputation has driven a whole global industry. But to really get it, we have to talk numbers first. Yep, you're seeing that right. On the high end, Kopi Luwak can go for up to £500 per pound. That price has absolutely cemented its reputation as the ultimate status symbol in the coffee world. But what in the world are you actually paying for? And is its story what it seems to be? Okay, so to start, we really need to dig into this so-called luxurious legend and figure out what makes this coffee so famous in the first place. The secret? Well, it's right there in the name. Kopi is just the Indonesian word for coffee, and Luwak is the local name for the Asian palm civet. And the legend, well, the whole thing is built on the fact that this coffee is processed inside this little animal. But here's the first big twist in the story. This so-called luxury item, it wasn't born from some quest for extravagance. Not at all. Its origins are way more humble and are actually rooted in a history of necessity and, well, clever rebellion. Okay, so picture this. It's the 18th century, during the Dutch colonial era in Indonesia. The local farmers working the plantations were completely forbidden from picking any coffee for themselves. But then they made a fascinating discovery. They noticed that wild Asian palm civets were eating the coffee cherries and, well, leaving the beans behind undigested. So they started collecting them, cleaning them, and roasting them. And the result? A coffee that was surprisingly smooth and way less bitter. It wasn't born from luxury, it was born from some serious anti-colonial ingenuity. And this right here just perfectly illustrates the huge contradiction at the heart of Kopi Luwak. Its origin is a story about resourcefulness, right? Using something found in the wild to get by. But the modern myth, it's all about manufactured luxury, exclusivity, and being an elite status symbol. The two could not be more different. So what was actually happening to those beans? I mean, was that smoother taste just a coincidence? Not at all. There is real, measurable science behind how a civet's digestive system changes the coffee. Let's get into the biology of it. Okay, the key process has a pretty sciencey name, enzymatic hydrolysis. But stick with me, it's pretty simple. The civet eats the whole coffee cherry, but it only digests the soft, fruity part. The hard little bean inside passes right through, but not before it's been soaked in the animal's powerful digestive enzymes. Here's how it all breaks down. First, the civet eats the coffee cherries. Then, for the next 24 to 36 hours, those beans are basically fermenting inside the animal's gut. During this time, those enzymes are working their way into the beans, breaking down the very proteins that give coffee its bitterness. What comes out the other end is a bean that gives you a cup of coffee with a really smooth body, low bitterness, and less acidity. So, the science is real, it definitely works. But what about the actual taste? Well, here's the thing. Master roasters and coffee experts pretty much all agree that while Kopi Luwak is exceptionally smooth, it often lacks the complex floral, fruity, and spicy notes you'd find in the world's other truly great coffees. It's unique, for sure, but it's not really considered the pinnacle of flavor. And this is where the story takes a very, very dark turn. The global demand, which was totally fueled by that luxury marketing, has twisted this industry from a story of accidental discovery into something deeply, deeply disturbing. This quote from an industry expert really just gets right to the heart of the problem. You see, the vast, vast majority of Kopi Luwak on the market today isn't sourced from wild civets wandering through the forest. No, it's a product of factory farming. And the reality of these farms is just horrifying. Civets are naturally solitary, nocturnal animals that roam around. But on these farms, they're stuffed into tiny, cramped wire cages. They're force-fed an unhealthy diet of only coffee cherries, which leads to all sorts of illnesses and extreme psychological distress. It's a life of constant, unrelenting suffering. I mean, the contrast couldn't be more stark, right? A healthy, wild civet eats all sorts of things and is free to roam. A farmed civet is stressed, sick, and locked in a cage. And here is the really crucial point that connects this cruelty right back to the coffee itself. Remember that unique flavor profile we talked about? It comes from a healthy animal with a balanced digestive system. A stressed out, unhealthy civet that's only eating one thing simply cannot produce the same enzymatic effect. So the very cruelty used to mass produce this stuff completely destroys its quality. You end up paying a luxury price for an inferior product that comes directly from animal abuse. So, if you're intrigued by that unique, smooth flavor profile, what can you do? Well, thankfully, there are incredible, innovative, and completely ethical alternatives out there that achieve similar and, let's be honest, often superior results. This chart lays out some fantastic options. Take honey processed coffee, for example. The process involves leaving some of that fruity pulp or mucilage on the bean while it ferments, which creates this amazing, sweet, full bodied flavor. Or there's anaerobic fermentation, a modern technique where coffee is fermented without oxygen, which can produce these incredibly complex, fruity, and smooth profiles. And as you can see, compared to farmed Kopi Luwak, the ethical rating for both is excellent. So here's the bottom line. Modern coffee science and just plain old human ingenuity have completely surpassed the need for this cruel and outdated process. We can create coffees with absolutely stunning and unique flavor profiles using ethical and controlled methods. No animals required. And that really just leaves us with one final question. Kopi Luwak started as a story of resourcefulness, but it has become a story of cruelty, all for the sake of novelty. So we have to ask ourselves, when the ethical alternatives are not only kinder, but are often better, what price is a novelty really worth?